Hi, goalkeeping community keepers and coaches. How are you all? Thought I'd do a little video on. I find Sundays and Mondays such a fascinating time for you guys. Generally, you are in a much more kind of stable state of mind. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, um, than you are Sunday and Monday, i.e., after match day. Because obviously, I speak to a player on any of those days, as I do to all my players and that I work with, and of course, obviously, like I know the results that they've had, and their how they are, whether they're jovial, whether they're in a great space, whether they're loving life, whether they're hating life, and whether they're depressed and whether they're massively upset and frustrated, will obviously be completely determined by the scoreline of the match on Saturday or Sunday. And I'm sure you all go through this, and I'm sure you all understand that. But isn't it like bizarre that like even on a one-on-one sport like tennis or snooker or whatever else, we're not even remotely in control of the result and the scoreline. I mean, a snooker player could have the best game, of his life, and when he gets a kick or somebody in the crowd does something and that distracts him, and if the other guy's like having a fantastic game as well, then obviously he's potentially going to lose the match, and he's not in control of that. He's so not in control of that. And here we've got sport where there's 22 guys out there, probably 30 during the course of the day with players getting rotated, and so there's 30 individuals on this pitch that is flawed, obviously, because it's not like it's a putting green on a golf course, which is in itself is flawed. And so many variables out with your control, crowd, weather conditions, atmospheric conditions, etc., etc. How the other team plays, striker having the best day of his life against you, etc., etc. And yet, we know deep down, and this is not news to you. Like, you know deep down you're not in control of this result, and yet we're massively upset about it. And it's as absurd as like your neighbour's going to get a new car and you want him to buy a red Mercedes, and he comes back, he's got a white BMW. It's like, so what? Like, we wouldn't get upset with that, because that would be mental, because it's like, it's not in our control, it's nothing to do with us. And so therefore, because of that, we would never get upset about it. We wouldn't do that, would we? It's mad. Or we're in Tesco's and somebody's got a different brand washing detergent than you use. No, you should buy this instead of that. It's nothing to do with us. It's up to them what they want to buy. And yet we would never do that. That'd be absolutely insane. And yet here we've got something else that's equally out with our control, and we get monumentally upset. I've had goals, that have had a clean sheet from the event, which is partly potentially an indication of the job they've done. It could be much more about the job the defence have done, or the midfield, or it could be much more a story of that the other teams in the midfield and strikers were really poor and hardly got a shot on target. Or it could be that they were amazing and they ended up knocking out 16 goals, like, amazing. But like, the end result of that is like, if players get a clean sheet and still being quite upset because it was a 0-0 draw, or they only won 2-0 and they should have won much more. It's like, isn't it so foolish? And I'm joking with you in a nice manner, so please take this for what it is going to be. But it's like, you're never going to be happy like with that, because your happiness is dictated by scorelines. It's dictated whether that ball goes in the back of the net or not. and you're just hurting yourselves. You're just blunting your performance, because it's all about being in the moment, and we can only be truly in the moment when we are when we're enjoying what we do, right, and we're not fearing the future. Now, if the future pans out in a certain way, you're going to be happy. And if your future doesn't pan and it pans out in another way, i.e. score line result, ball in the back of the net, then you're not going to be happy. So who's in charge of your well-being and how you feel? The circumstances. The game's in charge of you. So the game is shaping you. Why not you shape the game? Why not do it the other way about? And it's like, we speak about it, isn't it? It's like let your attitude shape the game, not the game shape your attitude. But this is, to me, especially in goalkeeping, I find in all the sports I work with, tour golf and racing drivers and world snooker and stuff, like, you guys, the goalkeepers, are under this spell. It's like you really struggle with this. You really struggle with this. Now, you're not being asked to be happy about failure. You're not being asked to do that. You're not being asked to be letting 5 goals in. You're not being asked to miss saving a penalty. You're not being asked to be happy about that. But when it hurts you, it's impossible to be in the moment. Like, I would use the analogy of, like, it's like you're stood at the top of a flight of stairs, and I'm going to tape your arms to your sides, so you're like absolutely like this. I've got your arms taped to your side, and I'll say, right, Dave, what I'm about to do is I'm going to push you down these stairs, and there's nothing you can do about it to stop me. But I'm asking you to be happy about it. You're not going to be happy about it. You're going to be stressed about it. You're going to really struggle. So it's like this is what ends up kind of going on inside you, is this constant fear of the future happening inside you, and it's paralysing you. I mean, it's absolutely paralysing you, because that profoundly affects our emotions and how we genuinely feel, not the bullshit macho ego that's out in the front saying, I've got this, I'm the man, I've got this. No, that guy. No one about that guy. Because he's just papering over cracks here. That's not what you get. We don't get what we want when we get what we are, what you truly are. And if you're out there playing with freedom of concern, there's no fear of failure. You're there, you're going to take responsibility, you're out there, you're owning it. And you're being out there being like completely badass, and you've been endlessly badass all week in training and disciplined, and you're like massively, genuinely bullshit apart up from this. And if you walk off with a failure, i.e. a loss, then you walk off with a failure, and that's it. And actually, it's like, I think part of it is your relationship to failure. It's like, failure's the good stuff, and you all see it as, because it's such a negative thing, and it's like, the reason failure's the good stuff is because for your careers and your performance to get better, you need to get better, and this is why failure's so great, because like, it gives you the opportunity to learn lessons, and when you learn those lessons, you become better. And when you become better, your career becomes better and your performance becomes better, etc., etc. So really, part of the issue is your relationship with failure. It's like, if you could just kind of see and understand that actually it's great. Okay, like, you're going to fall on your ass sometimes, and thank God we do, because as humans, that's how we learn. That is it. So 2 things are going to happen on match day. You're going to win, and hopefully you're going to find a way to be happy about that. Many don't. And or you're going to fail, and it's not just a team failure, it could be a personal one on you, and it was a relatively easy save, or you know, you passed it to an attacking player, whatever the flaw was. Is that you find a way of brushing yourself off, and it's like, right, well, I'm going to come out of this better. I'm going to learn off that, and I'm going to try my best to make sure that, you know, that thing's never repeated again, because that we never know enough if something's a good thing or a bad thing. So that failure process you've gone through, that event that you did wrong, is going to stand you in good stead further on in your career. Because fast forward 2 years, you know, you're going to be, you know, in an FA Cup final or in a World Cup playoff or something, right? And that failure that you had 2 years ago, where you passed it to the striker by mistake or whatever you did wrong, that lesson will be there, and it'll stop you doing it on the days where it matters even more. Make sense? So stop this nonsense on Sundays and Mondays, all this hate and pain and misery, right? Write down what you personally could have done better, because that's all you're better off. Keep a journal, write down personally what to do, speak to your coaches, or, you know, by all means have a chat with myself. And it's what I do, you know, every Sunday and Monday, you know, I'm chatting to my players, and you know, we're seeing what lessons there is to learn, and we're kind of moving on, right? Because, you know, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do, is to get better. So embrace the failures, and you know what? I'll tell you a secret. It's partly why the failures happen in the first place. It's because you're so afraid of them. Promise you. Have fun out there, guys. Take care.